Hello everybody and welcome to Watch Dan. Today I'll be taking a look at my brand new Grand Seiko SBGV237. I picked this up from a nice gentleman on Reddit who sold me a watch that was exactly as described. If you'd like any more information on him, just send me a message and I can send over. Looks like he's got quite a few very nice, well cared for, pristine watches for sale. So great transaction there. So this is a Japanese domestic market only model, and I picked it up just a few days ago. It is 39 millimeters wide with a 19 millimeter lug width, kind of a vintagey look to the size of those lugs, and it's a little bit hard to find straps and stuff, but they're out there. I mean, honestly, with Amazon you can find anything. So anyways, this one comes in kind of a coppery brown color dial. In typical Grand Seiko fashion, the dial is immaculate and highly reflective, probably finished with some kind of lacquer. I was new to Grand Seikos not too long ago. Not the brand, but just handling them in person. And I gotta say, there's nothing like it that I've seen. When it comes to dial furniture and dial finishing, they're just about as good as it gets, I would say. Bringing it in a little bit here, you can see the the hands are kind of a, I don't know if you call them saber style or something. Sorry about the car with the muffler behind me. The indices are finished with micrometric milling tools, and that gives them this shine that you don't get on other brands. And it also gives them kind of a rainbow hue in certain lights, which is just so cool. The hands are also, well, the hands are satin on top with a, you know, pretty big slope on the edges that's polished, giving them kind of a sword look. The date window is also finished very nicely, and the lugs fit the case very well. There's almost no play in there, just a tiny bit, so I like to see that. Moving on to the side of the case, it's kind of angular. Almost looks like they took a 44 GS and kind of indented the sides a little bit to give it this kind of profile. It is satin finished along the flank and this small stretch here, and then it is mirror polished on the bottom and the top of the lugs and the side of the case as well. One thing I noticed about this watch, it actually would probably be a pretty good unisex option, because at 39 millimeters, you know, honestly, it kind of wears like a Seiko Sarb as far as the size goes, and with the female end links, you know, it can kind of droop down on the wrist if you have a sort of smaller sized wrist. But I mean, it fits me well, if not maybe a little bit small. The reflective side top profile, the sides here, can kind of make the watch look a little smaller even, because you're reflecting light all over the place, and it can kind of make it look like the watch ends here at the bezel. When 39 millimeters is a pretty good size watch, but a lot of that is showing up in that case profile. So just something to consider. My 7.5 inch wrist, I think it fits well enough that I'll keep it. Probably not going to be my go-to every day, but it is really a beautiful watch. And you know, typical 9F quartz fashion, I've only had it a few days, but haven't lost any kind of fraction of a second. So we know it's going to be super accurate, and you can see that second hand hits the mark every single time, just perfectly. Also typical of this brand. Oddly enough, my other Grand Seiko that I reviewed recently, the second hand is off by a fraction of a millimeter all the way around, and it kind of drives me crazy, but the process of actually sending the watch to Japan to get it fixed for something so small, that would just be ridiculous. So I live with it, and it's fine. It's extra precise and awesome otherwise. Anyways, lucky I got this one that's pretty perfect in that regard. Moving on to the case back, standard Grand Seiko with the lion. Both of my watches, that lion lines up perfectly just like this, and other watches I've seen as well. So I think they actually do take the time to make sure that the threads line up so that that lion is standing upright when you're holding the watch, just like this. The bracelet, also very cool. Proprietary to, I believe, this model, and then maybe a couple others that look just like it, but have different colored dials. It's an H-link style bracelet, and you'll see a very nice satin finish with sort of a rounded mirrored finish on the sides. And then these center links, which protrude a little bit, actually make the bracelet feel a lot beefier, which I appreciate because I have a bigger wrist. And then they are also polished on these sides, Zaratsu style. Moving on to the clasp, standard Grand Seiko. Often poked fun at, but actually very cool. The reason for that little gap right there is so that your link never scrapes against the clasp. So a small attention to detail that I really appreciate. And then a nice triple finished clasp back with a media blast in the center, polish around the edges, and satin on the clasp. Fits great. I've heard complaints of not getting a good fit. I have a perfect fit with this one and my other one. I actually use 1/2 link right there. You can see on the H-link you have these center portions, but on this one it doesn't have the center portion because it's a 1/2 link. But fits like a boss. I love it. Let's see, what else should I talk about? The date flips over immediately. I mean, when I say immediately, I mean like instantaneously. It's in like 1,000th of a second or something ridiculous like that. The dial is sunburst, and you could call it brown or maybe like kind of a coppery color, but in real life it is just beautiful. It's really, really nice looking. And you know, let me see if I can get a little bit of that kind of Grand Seiko reflection off the dial. A lot of the reflection you're seeing there in the background isn't the crystal, that's the dial itself reflecting. And that's what I mean when I say that these things just have the shiniest dials. You can see the minute hand reflecting there on the dial a little bit on the bottom. So anyways, awesome. Let me pop it on the wrist. Try to zoom out a little bit here. There you go. Maybe a little more. Sorry, this is kind of a close-up wrist shot, but it's like 10 millimeters thick, so it just kind of disappears on the wrist. Let me try to move this up just a tiny bit here. Sorry, my table is filthy. But there you go. Yeah, wears a little bit like a Seiko Sarb. Doesn't honestly feel too small. Just after taking off a 40 or a 41 millimeter watch, it feels small to me. But you can see that my wrist is far wider than the end of those end links, or even the part that attaches to the end links. So yeah, I would say 6.5 inch wrist or bigger. Maybe even a 6-inch wrist would be fine. But no loom. I forgot to mention no loom here. But you know, in a dark room that has at least a smattering of light, smattering, you'll be able to see what time it is, no problem, just because of the shine of the indices in the hands. It's just amazing. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or anything, shoot me a message. If you want me to make more videos, subscribe and like. Everybody have a great day. Bye now.